Welcome everybody, it's your boy Hardcorn, and we're here today with something truly incredible. We're going to be going over the core Taimanin games. It's going to be a retrospective that will cover the series over time, so we can see just how much has changed. This is more or less for us to reminisce over the series as it hits 20 years old at this time. For each of these, we're going to cover the plot of the story extensively. Not only is this for my benefit, so I can remember more details, it's for those who don't know how to get the English version or subject themselves to the content in the games themselves. The contents of these games are a part of its history, and through it all, we can learn to accept it for what it is. Also, to understand why almost no series will ever have its name associated with it, unless it's already in that type of field. So let's kick back, relax, and let's think about these ninjas. Welcome to Taimanin Asagi, the origins of it all and Kagami's first game with Lilith. It brings us into the larger Taimanin world and shows us the capabilities of the franchise's most famous characters, Sakura and Asagi. In the beginning, Asagi is ruminating on a rooftop about the nature of her job. She then goes down to the plaza and finds Oboro, and then is surrounded by enemies and faces off against her. This proves to be a moot point, as we see the strength and speed of Asagi herself.
さあどうする? 私も鬼ではない。ここで刀を捨て、部下どもの慰み者になるなら、優しく殺してやるぞ。我が忍法、とくと味わえ。この人数で何を、バカめ！忍法。 殺人か。バカだ。これがお前の忍法。
Oboro is defeated shortly thereafter, and it's a total no contest. This is going to be a recurring theme in just about every single Lilith game going forth. We see the main heroines being their absolute best and annihilating everything, and the job of the enemies ahead is to wipe that smug look off of their faces. This is what I lovingly call the haughty factor. They know they're better, they are treated better for the most part, and the enemies know they are weaker and inferior. It's up to the villains to find a way to get back against our heroines using any means possible. It's been 3 years after the events of the intro, and we get to see Asagi in a more sensitive side when she's not working. We learn that she is engaged and preparing to retire from active duty Taimanin life so she can start her family. She's got dreams, goals, and wants to get away from it all so she can help her sister and start the next chapter of her life. Of course, everyone else has plans that involve her. She speaks briefly to the senior executive in government that manages the Taimanins, a relative of Kyosuke. The executive mentions the fact that since Asagi has left the Taimanins, 9 have been killed in recent months. This is a shock, since in 20 years, 2 have died and 3 others have lost their lives during duty. It is out of the ordinary, something is up. Oboro's group had remained low for years until now, regaining their strength with the assistance of the Nomad group run by Edwin Black. Oboro's army and the Nomad group aren't just going for the ninjas, however. They are going for full government infiltration. They want Asagi back real bad to have her stop this. We reach the home of the Agawa sisters and have our first meeting with the legendary Genki gal Sakura. We see immediately that Sakura and Asagi have a sizable age gap between them. Sakura being a high schooler and Asagi is a well-aged working adult. And work she has. Asagi's home is no shotgun shack, and she is certainly not struggling to raise Sakura fiscally or really in any other capacity. Sakura may be a funny gal, but when it comes to being a Taimanin, she takes it quite seriously. The conviction in her eyes when she tells Asagi she wants to be a Taimanin who can succeed her is no joke, staggering Asagi herself. We then turn to the dojo inside her home to meet Kyosuke Sawaki, as if she doesn't already have so much money to have even that attached to her house. Asagi truly loves the man, and visibly changes her demeanor and thinking whenever he's around. You see, Asagi didn't exactly quit her job. She chose to break long-standing traditions regarding the nature of Taimanins. They cannot love, as it would compromise them and possibly the mission. Because of this, she left to be with her man. They share a moment, and Kyosuke remarks that he's going to be meeting a Sawaki relative and take care of them. And with a hint of rings to come, Kyosuke takes his leave. Our boy here is slated to have dinner with the sisters, but doesn't show up. This obviously makes Asagi mad. She becomes suspicious, however, from the words of the executive and the situation at hand that something might have happened to him. Like any missing persons case, it's time to start gathering some information. Asagi suits up for the first time in years and is ready to hit the streets to find out if anything has happened to him. Sakura is also concerned, and we see her Taimanin suit for the first time. Both of them head to Orc Town to get some info. We now get to see Asagi working as the seasoned and hardcore Taimanin and Sakura's naivete in action. We are also now introduced to the Orcs. We meet Pig, the perfect example of 5th-class citizens in the Taimanin world. They're strong, but weak-minded and absolute sexual deviants. Cattle for just making more service drones with the women they capture. Asagi and Sakura go in like bulls in a china shop and start destroying objects and beating up Pig until info is given. He reveals that Oboro's army had set up a place called the Chaos Arena that partakes in disgusting blood sports that feature talented women. The losers of these games would be subject to ever-intensifying sexual torture or death. Asagi is very frustrated in general and takes out her rage on Pig. Sakura remarks on this, however, and then Pig goes to Sakura looking for help. Sakura then gives him a lashing, and both of them leave to head home. Asagi is distraught with facing decisions about being a Taimanin, her love for Kyosuke, and the ever-growing threat of Oboro's army. Out of the blue, Sakura sneaks back home when she said she was going to school and gives Asagi a letter before heading back. This letter reveals that Oboro is alive and knows where Asagi is. After pangs of energy assail Asagi, setting off alarms in her head, Kyosuke suddenly appears. She knows something is wrong, but goes against her instincts with her man. Kyosuke pops the question, and with the sliding of the ring on Asagi's finger, it disappears. Kyosuke then transforms into Oboro, and she returns as a bowl of ravioli and spaghetti. Oboro then reveals she can transform into her human form and others now due to the new powers bestowed onto her. Thanks to Asagi putting the ring on, Oboro's hypnosis powers have full strength. Also, Oboro has come back to life due to the magic of Edwin Black. She has taken Asagi's fiancé hostage inside her body, and Oboro uses this to transform at will and emotionally manipulate Asagi. Asagi is then knocked out, leaving a blood code for Sakura to hopefully understand and use to get help. Asagi is then taken to the Chaos Arena basement, and this is where the real notable events of the series that really set it apart begin. Oboro is extremely angry and is doing anything possible to get back at Asagi. Consecutive sessions of torture for Asagi begin. Oboro describes the situation to Asagi over the torture, and we meet the big bad man of Nomad, Edwin Black. Edwin Black has that aura about him and is extrememly oppressive. We see him briefly, but we get to know he's a real important executive man with special primal vampire powers, Mr. Daywalker. Even his eminence is enough to immediately stop Oboro in her tracks. We're dealing with a real threat here, folks. One with actual plans and doesn't just act on emotions. Yet, Black gives Asagi the choice to join him by being sired. He only touches the back of Asagi's neck, and with only a taste she understands just how far superior he is. Oboro and Black leave the room, and Asagi begins collecting herself and setting the goal to save Kyosuke. Later, Oboro gets to work on executing her revenge. She explains that the Chaos Arena is an underground fighting ring where people are kidnapped and the loser is subjected to torture. Torture is mostly sexual in nature and in some cases death. Oboro gets fed up with Asagi's bickering and arguing, and then lays down the hypnosis to subdue her. It isn't enough for Oboro to have just captured her worst enemy and torture her. Oboro must modify her enemy's body to receive even more punishment from something as simple as breathing. Oboro uses her mind control and has Asagi bound in a chamber. Then, she commands the nomad scientist to spend the next week subjecting Asagi to this monster that rewrites her nervous system to make just about anything pleasurable. With this, Oboro now spends the next several days putting Asagi into fights she can't win, trying every way, shape, or form to break her will and give up. This way, Asagi can feel even a smidgen of the pain and shame that dying and losing it all can bring. After this, Oboro tortures Asagi again, but after the big reformatting. Then, Oboro reveals to Asagi that Sakura is on property and is trying to save her. Sakura is sadly outmatched and then captured. After that, Oboro uses either hypnosis or underhanded tactics to make Asagi lose on purpose. Asagi on every loss is subjected to sexual assault in some way. After the last time where she is assaulted by the audience, it is revealed that Sakura during her capture has been tortured by Oboro. It has been at least a week previous to the time of the showing. Sakura is then shown to be assaulted, reformatted, and assaulted again at the same time Asagi has been fighting. Sakura and Asagi are then thrown into the same cell to prepare for the final event. The sisters share a moment together. Sakura, despite her horrendous treatment, still smiles with her sister. Sakura's positivity instills hope in this hellhole. Asagi's reservations about saving Kyosuke begin fading away. Saving Sakura and killing Oboro is what matters the most now. Oboro's final event is pitting the sisters against each other to have them kill one another. The sisters embrace each other, hoping for the best. I really enjoy the never give up attitude that both of the sisters have. Asagi for sure, as she even has had doubts about making it out of this. Setting goals for herself and having great motivation in the form of Sakura and Kyosuke have kept that fighting spirit going. The girls keep going because stopping and giving up means Oboro wins. We know that they are not going to let her do that after all she's done to them. Night falls as the arena opens for business once again. This time it's for the sisters showdown. The audience is electric and they want to see those two paint the walls red. Oboro taunts Asagi again, but then informs her that regardless of what's happening, both are going to die. Once one sister dies, Oboro is going to finish the other. She takes her seat, leaving Asagi and Sakura on the field. Sakura, visibly nervous, looks to Asagi for reassurance. In a wordless gesture, whether out of tiredness or keeping the plans together, Asagi reassures Sakura that it's gonna be okay. The match begins and the sisters square up. They just can't go straight for Oboro, but they need this to be believable for the most part. Wordlessly, Asagi insinuates to Sakura to go all out. Go all in, baby. Show me what you got so we can make this believable and put it over. They leap forward and clash in a storm of swords. The crowd goes wild as the sisters attack each other. Sakura sees that Asagi is distracted with Oboro and comes in with a red-hot kick to the face. Nailing Asagi in the head, she is left rattled. Sakura's secret training is paid off. Asagi didn't want to find out this way, but is proud regardless. Asagi gets up and understands that it's time. Nodding to Sakura, the play begins. Both sisters begin taunting each other to really rev up the crowd. The sisters then jump at each other, ready to strike the decisive blow. Sakura, not having the years of experience of her sister, attacks too early. They clash and Asagi switches around and slashes Sakura in the back, dealing a critical blow. Asagi cries out in grief as her sister falls onto the mat in a way to lessen said impact. Asagi approaches Sakura, and Sakura struggles to get out the words to tell her sister to finish the job. She's actually hurt and it's Asagi's fault. Oboro sees the hesitation in Asagi and goes to her side to taunt her once again to finish off Sakura. This is it, the moment they've been waiting for. Asagi strikes at Oboro with blinding speed, but she is stopped by Oboro's hypnosis. Caught out and unable to move, Oboro's anger rises at the attempt on her life at the assailant before her. Asagi struggles to even move, but taunts back, reminding that Oboro forgot about Sakura. Sakura then appears from Asagi's shadow, dealing a devastating blow, catching Oboro completely off guard. Sakura is not under Oboro's hypnosis, so she is free to attack. We finally get to see Sakura's ninja art, shadow evasion and manipulation. This wound won't immediately take out Oboro. It is enough for Oboro to lose focus on the hypnosis on Asagi. With this moment of freedom, Asagi goes all in with Satsujinka to deliver the final blow. With this, the patrons of the arena and Oboro lie dead on the ground. With Oboro gone, Kyosuke is sadly lost as well, a hefty price to pay to stop the evil that is Oboro. Asagi reminisces on the fact that he is gone forever and is heartbroken, crying. Sadly, that is cut short by the familiar overwhelming presence of Edwin Black. Such a presence even scares Sakura. Asagi wants Sakura to escape, but it is of no matter. Black could care less and is thoroughly entertained by the both of them. Asagi is stricken with sadness and then shows a little selfishness with wanting to die so she can be with Kyosuke. Black does not allow such an outcome and leaves them both. The nightmare of the arena is over, but however, there is still one last bit of unfinished business. About a week passes after their escape. Much like anyone stricken with grief at the loss of a loved one, it eats at her. The pain finds ways in even the simplest of things to make an appearance again. Yet all we can do is move on and live with the memory. Asagi and Sakura cannot live in sadness forever. There is still a job to do. This last job has them taking out a very specific subject. Asagi has found the executive in charge of the Taimanins. She appears before him and starts asking questions. Typically, both would meet at a prearranged point, but Asagi very much wants to see him, so she takes the initiative and finds him. He is uncomfortable and confused at such a motion. Being found, nothing good could come of this. Asagi lays it out to him that she talked to Kyosuke and he had to go take care of his grandfather the night before he was turned into Oboro's hostage. That grandfather is the executive before us now. Kyosuke was eliminated because Asagi, the strongest Taimanin, left her life to live with him. With Asagi forced to return, she eliminated Kyosuke and Oboro for the executive. Asagi realizes this is a reach for the throne and must eliminate the executive for selling out one of their own. The executive simply puts it as a political play to keep a Koka, aka the Kokawa family, person out of office. The executive begins to bargain with Asagi, saying he's old or it's just politics, but she's just not having any of it. Even going as far to say that with him gone, a new enemy will rise, baiting a sequel and creating an unstable future. The executive realizes that he's not going to be leaving alive and prepares to escape, but from the shadows a sword appears and pierces him. Sakura makes her appearance. The executive begs one last time before Asagi informs his neck that the head and body are getting a divorce. With his death, Asagi and Sakura escape into the night. Many painful and excruciating experiences lie ahead of them. All they can do is face such atrocities head on as the Taimanins the world needs them to be. And that's the story of Taimanin Asagi. It's very straightforward and simple. Going back over this, I find it crazy that this sort of story created a franchise that has made it 20 years and counting at this point. Most stories like this are where our heroines never succeed and turn into brainwashed messes that simply exist to pleasure their captors. What I've described to you is the best possible ending you can get for this. Oboro is defeated and Asagi and Sakura are free. What I didn't tell you is that there are several choices you have to make in the game. Failure to pick the correct one or the one for your route puts our team into one of the famous bad endings. I obviously can't show you what happens there, but you get the idea. Here in this one, we have the narrative and theming built up to show the lengths of depravity and disgusting acts to make it hit harder when the scenes actually happen. These scenes will go on to be the staples of the series as time goes on. The acts of violence, abuse, and post-event treatment all continue to grow as time goes on. It's already pretty rough here, and the sequels really pick up on it, eventually culminating in Bad End City with their first gacha, Battle Arena, and into RPGX. From a story perspective, our first foray into the Taimanin universe is alright at best. The story is very simple, as it is there to set up the extreme violence and sexual assault. When you go look at the time it takes to play through the whole eroge, it clocks in at just under 7 hours. It's no lie that most of the time played when reading is sitting through one of the famous bad end scenes or some of the story required ones. If you are actually going for story, you can easily skip a lot of these. They thankfully put a lot of the plot before and after said scenes. Oboro, being our main villain, is someone who is almost comically evil. She's angry and outlandish in so many ways, I almost expect her to come in twirling a mustache with a top hat on. Better yet, she'd come in wearing something like that in the first place and tie Asagi to some train tracks, and then probably just have a train run on her afterwards. I don't like Oboro very much. It does me very good to know that she is mostly relegated to just jobber tier in the modern era. I do wish they spent some time building up Oboro, like who she is, during the events of Taimanin Asagi. This is mostly due to the fact that they pretty much write her into a corner and add in all these familial ties and details with each sequel. Though, when you think about it, they wanted to keep it lean on the villains in the first place. They don't want you growing sympathetic towards them. This is mostly me wanting to know more about the horrible world that they live in. I certainly understand that at least here, you're being sold on the shock factor in situations. The story gets in the way with that. The Lilith Company just can't help itself from creating a world where such depraved acts and lawlessness can just occur. It's one of the things that interests me a lot. Like, how can something like the Chaos Arena even exist? Who would allow such a thing? The fact of Asagi coming back because of an executive making a political play opens doors to other avenues of lore. Now, I'm not saying we need to find out the tax system of the orc people and the logistics of the entire Nomad umbrella. The sequels understand that there is more to be understood. The fact that the first entry provides such wonder is really good in my eyes. It leaves me wanting more. The art itself makes me very nostalgic. Kagami has done incredible work for many years and continues to put out absolutely incredible pieces to this day. The artists for the Taimanin series will have their own featured videos, but it also pays to talk about them here. These early 2000s Kagami pieces use a lot of the big shonen characters. I know there's several Bleach spreads he's done, alongside his extensive art for One Piece, specifically with Nami and Robin. To say that Asagi and Sakura aren't just different dimensional versions of Robin and Nami would be nothing short of insanity. Though with Taimanin Asagi, Kagami seems to have turned down some of the immense glare on the skin and hair. Not to mention the lack of individualized hair strands with strong borders. With it being 2005 and the beginning of the gradual shift to full digital art, these assets still feel like they're drawn on paper and digitized later. I don't know if that's true, I'd certainly like to believe it though. This makes me wonder though how Lilith goes about choosing their artists, especially in their earlier titles. Kagami has went on to make 18 titles and many other assets for Taba and RPGX, so he's doing something right. What an incredible first showing to hit it out of the park with something like Taimanin Asagi. But with that though, we're gonna hang it up here. I hope you enjoyed learning about Taimanin Asagi, and if you already knew, reminiscing on it. Keep an eye out for more on the series as we explore the sequel, Taimanin Asagi 2. Don't forget to like, comment, rate, favorite, and subscribe. And as always, I'll see you on the next one.